AmandaLand. Ambassador of the week. Our distinguished guest. Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come, yo. Here they come. Yay! Activist and Jedi. I have a Jedi symbol right here on my wrist.
That is so cool. Yeah, I call myself a Jedi because my DNA upsets the Empire.
Nice.
Black and Palestinian.
I mean, that's a lot of vibes. Yeah, your DNA is vibes. It's really just like, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. As Nasra, one of our AmandaLanders would say, you with it. That's what it means.
Absolutely.
You with it. So
1000%.
you guys, we are here with Serene Sovereign. Now, I will tell you, she may be annoyed by me telling you this, but she was like, I'm not an organizer. I don't know. I'm not with an organization. I'm not sure, if we're going to talk about that. I was like, that's not what this is about. You have common sense. I be hearing you have common sense. And I think also there's just far too much gatekeeping that happens around like, oh, are you associated with this bigger thing? Is that the thing that's legitimizing you? And as somebody who actively disassociates with the bigger things, I think that's what legitimizes me, is that I'm not associated with.
So you can relate. Absolutely. Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Did you have braces, or are these genetically your teeth?
They're not perfect. Come on now. These are my teeth. But no, I've never had braces. They're okay.
You would have got the applause even if you had braces, because I'd be like, shout out to your orthodontist and your periodontist, because, big ups.
Question, should I join you live on Instagram as well, just so my folks can know? I mean, I told them that was going to be on here, but
yeah, why not? Just mute it.
Yeah, there we go.
What was I gonna say? They can't hear all the bells and whistles on the Instagrams. So here's the other problem, Serene, is that because I currently do the show 3 days a week, I just don't be having time. And I will also add energy to like do the assets and the things and all the does and and I be looking at folks like, I am so impressed that you had a graphic to give me to post.
I mean, you're doing well, more than a lot of people, Amanda. Give yourself some credit.
Oh, I'm giving myself very much credit. I'm just saying that's why you don't have a graphic to post for your audience.
Oh, it's okay. I let them know in my stories. Everyone was like, oh my God, I'll be tuning in. So That's all I need. That's all I need.
So let's talk. I've been seeing a lot of rumblings recently around what it is that we are doing. And I want to start from your opinion on who is we.
Who is we? Okay.
I want to start with, who are we considering we? Are you writing notes?
No, I'm just thinking
who is we?
Of who to include. Who is we? So anyone who is concerned with liberation, honestly, anyone who is concerned with the future of this country, anyone who is concerned with the direction we're heading in, anyone who's concerned with human rights, human lives, of course, that automatically includes the pro-Palestinian movement. But I think we're at the point where this should go even beyond that, right? Because if people at this point still don't understand how the blue and white state is affecting our government, I mean, where are we? Where are we at this point? Why are we using our tax dollars to fund these things, whether you agree with what's happening over there or not? So that includes, honestly, that would include everybody, but I know it ain't for everybody either. But
well, I say this as like, we just had these protests last week, this No Kings, protest, and there was a lot of commentary about the efficacy of them, whether they were pointless or pointful, I guess. And then, it was a similar commentary that was around what was the other one they had? Like, they always have a little catchphrase. What was the other protest they had before?
Fight the oligarchy.
Fight the oligarchy, or there was like the 51 something. Y'all remember that? What was it? That's how quick time is going. It was
it
3 weeks ago, and I'm like, back in.
It's like April 5th or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like way back.
I remember
in
that
May.
one.
Oh, hands off.
Hands off. Okay. That's
So,
what it was. On a Saturday.
Well, talk to me about this because I have a point of view that I didn't expect to have.
As far as what that specific
as
protest?
far as these protests and their usefulness in the challenging of the things, because I think part of it is also the things. To your point, some people haven't even gotten to realizing that Israel's a part of the things to be protesting.
We're still,
like that's how far behind we are.
Oh gosh.
You said what?
I was like, we're still back there. I thought we'd at least have caught up by now. But
no, we are still back there. Yes.
So what is your question? Sorry.
My question is, what do you feel about these protests that are being organized en masse? Because you voiced it on Instagram, but these people don't necessarily know your opinion. So I want to start from there.
Well, as someone who has attended these protests, I'm just very amazed by these people's ability to mobilize thousands, tens of thousands of people. I think there was one that even got hundreds of thousands of people. But we all gather around and we all sing slogans and it's feel good and we listen to speeches and it's great and all, but what do we do afterwards? There is really no, as far as I've observed, there's never been like a concrete call to action. There's never been like, okay, we got this many people here. What do we do with them? Absolutely nothing. And then the fact that they continuously happen on Saturdays when nobody important is really at the White House or the Capitol building, it just felt very empty. Of course, the beautiful aspect of it is connecting with other people and connecting with community and finding people in the crowd. But I've never seen, results. But even as I'm there sitting there, I just don't see how I'm being useful other than showing up, other than being a number that is represented amongst the people who are against something. But one, we don't have live coverage. Nobody's covering us. There's no CNN. There's no, Fox News. We have independent journalists here and there. So it just feels very empty. It just feels like a massive, colossal waste of time at this point. At least try to do it on a Monday. Just a recommendation. At least try to do it on a Tuesday. But it's just something I've observed.
Radical organizations that are planning these?
So that's the thing. The successful ones always seem to be coming from, I really don't understand how those take off, because there'll be several little protests, but then the ones that really mobilize huge numbers seem to have some Democratic Party affiliation with them, right? So there's somebody marketing or promoting it in a manner that gathers more people than your average protest organized by a smaller organization. So I don't really know the mechanics behind that. I don't want to say it's agent work, but sometimes it feels like it. It just feels like, okay, how did this spread? Especially the April 5th one. That we already know who organized that. But there's been several massive ones where and those were honestly under, when Biden was still president. So, and there were several different organizations, so I don't want to pinpoint to one.
Yeah.
But there seems to be, the bigger ones, usually funded by the government as well, that seem to bring in the larger crowds. So, yeah, it's at least I'm only speaking, by the way, about the DC area, the DMV area. I cannot speak for everywhere else in the country.
Well, I hear the concept of controlled rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't, by any stretch of the imagination, feel like something that is outside of the reach of this nation.
Not.
I just feel like there's an onus that should be placed on and an accountability that also needs to be placed on those of us who do know better to do different. I know that they're mobilizing these hundreds of thousands of people and it's happening on a Saturday, but I also feel like that's part of the reason why there's able to be hundreds of thousands of people, because it's on a Saturday.
True, but
because we are so indoctrinated in this country. Like, we are really handicapped by the fact that okay, so for instance, like something that's been going on for the past 3 days is that people are like very angry at me for saying that Barack Obama didn't do anything specifically for Black people.
where is the lie? Hello?
Like, girl, livid, calling me out my name. Like, you know, I'm surprised I haven't gotten any death threats. But so
okay.
So, and then those who do feel emboldened to come and say something to me about it, for the most part, they're coming from a place of, you know, he was the president. And so they give an austerity to the role of the president. And so that alone, Serene, lets me know how far behind we are, because we're not even looking at the government as if it owes us anything.
At all. They're just there to be figures and make us look good. And they have, under no obligations, that have to, you know, act on those promises.
So if we don't even feel as a people, like as a populace, that we are a proletariat, they know we are. But if we don't know we are, then we don't know even what our responsibility is to ourselves. So I feel like so much of the effort right now that I know I've committed myself to is really just trying to engage people in understanding a proper is not the word, but a more realistic relationship to leadership, because they have been lulled to sleep.
That, and people need to have higher self-worth and demand more. You know, just demand more. I mean, why are we paying taxes? Why are we going on Tuesdays to vote for these people to represent us? Why aren't we making them do their jobs? Like, it's just, what do we demand out of that? It can't just be, okay, I'm going to vote for someone because I like them or they seem like the safest option. And that's it. I did my job. Where are the demands? What do you want from your politicians? What do you want from your country? For you, for your family, for your community. Just that ounce of self-worth, just increase that just a little bit. And, you know, that would be the first step. It really begins right here in most people's minds.
Well, you know, the other thing too is that the people you're voting for do not exist in the same United States as you in terms of resources. Like, they exist in socialism, right? Like, they have free healthcare. You know, they are supported by
bailouts.
I mean, this is a fact. Like, people are saying to me, you know, Barack Obama did his service. He should be able to go live as a civilian and be honored for his efforts. And I'm like, let me tell you something.
You know, it's the only thing I can remember of the Obama era is Obama phones, Obamacare. And then, you know, they had this program for like house owners where, I guess, at least in New York, where people were handed out homes. Yeah.
Here's my thing. I heard someone say this the other day, and it threw me for a loop that I have not returned from.
Let's hear this.
The amount of people you kill determines whether you're a murderer or a world leader. If you kill one person, you a murderer. You kill millions, you're a world leader.
Oh, I did not expect that to go in that direction.
Either did I. And when we talk about like Obama, and he is not, so I'm just using him as an example because we're talking about him, but any president of the United States has committed murder.
Mass murder.
Mass murder.
Yes. En masse.
And when they get out of that position, they don't got to have difficulty getting a job at Target. They don't have anything on their record. No, they get free health care for the rest of their life. They get Social Security. I mean, they get
I didn't know that, by the way. So retired government officials get free health care.
The president.
For the rest of the president, at least. Okay.
And he gets Secret Service for the rest of his
Why
life.
does he get to pay for it? I don't, I thought we loved capitalism here.
He gets Secret Service for the rest of his life. He gets, I mean, he gets to do speaking engagements for $100,000. I mean, Kamala just signed with CAA, Creative Artists Agency, which was my former agency.
Oh, wow. To do what?
Speaking engagements.
Oh, okay.
And appearances.
So she just gets paid. Okay, for appearances.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, they said Congress does too. Congress does get. Wow. So Congress also gets free healthcare for the rest of the time.
Interesting. Funny how those votes go in Congress when it comes to healthcare for other people.
So talk to me about what are you doing right now? I feel like you're eating, you're drinking.
I'm sorry.
Can you show some respect?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I am having like my little focus tea.
What was the sounds?
That was the pack for the headphones that I was going to use.
Oh,
but
because
I wanted to put it. Sorry, I didn't know. I thought these were noise cancellation. You guys can hear everything? My bad. Okay, I'll stop.
I was in Sinners, and somebody was trying to open something, and I turned around, and I don't know if they ever got to eat that because the face that like a serious part, like when he's at the baby's grave, and they're over there like, stop it.
My bad. I don't know. I thought these were noise cancellation.
They're noise cancellation for you.
I don't.
You don't like
to cancel out everything around me too.
No, but the mic doesn't, babe.
Oh, my bad. I really apologize. I'm saying
no, don't apologize. I'm just saying. I just want you to know that noise cancellation headphones only cancel out what you hear.
What I hear,
not what the mic hears.
What the mic picks up. Okay.
Gotcha. So tell me this. Is there anything that you feel like is happening right now that you support?
As far as which group?
In terms of just fighting back, in terms of resistance.
Well, I was very inspired by the flotilla.
Yeah.
And I was very inspired by what Bisan said, where she was like, hey, why don't we get dozens, 20, hundreds?
Did you hear about Malaysia?
No.
Malaysia said they're working on an 1,000 boat flotilla.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, Malaysia has been a really good partner to Palestine. I think they had they supported a hospital there. I know Indonesia has also been a big, supporter. Mm-hmm. So the flotilla, they also released everybody. I saw that. So everybody made it home.
Wasn't there the Brazilian that was like put in solitary confinement? They released him too?
Yeah, Tiago. I made a point of, kind of just going back and forth to see, because you know how things go. It's like, all right, it's done. Greta's home.
I know. And I hope that doesn't die. I hope people really actually start mobilizing towards doing it again. And this time actually organizing with other groups to do it at the same time. And then you have like the convoy from Algeria and Tunisia that made it there, but weren't allowed through the borders. As far as what we can do here in America, I mean, it's really the same old. Boycotting is like the most important thing. Everyone should, if boycotting was just in effect, as BDS movement has instructed us to do, that alone could impact so much. Protesting, as I said, I'm not a crazy fan of it. I know that on Saturdays, that's when most people show up, but I don't think that we need that many numbers. I don't think we need the 100,000s. I don't think we need the 10,000s. I think if you can get a couple thousand of people at the right location, that would be enough.
Do you see yourself as somebody who would want to step into that role?
Yes.
What's stopping you?
Nothing, honestly, but time, because I have to. This is not what I do full time. And even at the moment, I'm just dealing with so much family things that I'm not even able to create content that, I mentioned earlier. But I am in areas where I'm connected to organizations, and it's really just a learning process. I take organizing very seriously. It's not something I just want to jump out and do and risk other people's lives. There's so much to take into consideration as far as their safety, as far as protocol, as far as crowd safety. So it is, but I'm not ready to jump out right now and do that. Just, if it was just me, cool. But if I have to involve other people's lives, that's a different story.
I feel like so much of what you're saying is indicative of the reality that we are so handicapped by just having to try to exist, that was their goal, right? To make it to where you have to do AP adulting. It is advanced placement adulting at all times, which leaves so little room for trying to create new pathways to progress.
And it gets worse every day. It gets worse every day. As we're speaking, I mean, there's just news of every day there's a new headline of what's getting cut off or what's getting affected, and interest rates going up and debt going up and homelessness going up. And it's like, my God, it's obviously intentional, and it makes it harder to, build that community that you really want and to be self-sustainable. But that's also the only solution. Like literally the only solution is to start getting to know the people around you, start seeing what you can barter, the services you can offer each other, how you can actually be able to self-govern outside of maybe even municipalities. But even just taking that first step seems so overwhelming, because it's like, no, I got to wake up and do this, and I got this bill to pay, and I got to go here, and I got to go there, and then personal issues, and even just forget all of that. Just the news overload, the information overload that you get bombarded with every single day. That's also intentional. And, our president is like an expert at that. Balance.
That ancestral sigh. I mean, I literally brought you on here because we really need to. I brought you on here namely because I love your points. Also because you are not associated with organizations, but you feel the way that you do, right? And so many folks in our chat are in the same mindset, right? Where they feel that they are hampered with an ability to take any steps to change the reality that we're in, but they are overwhelmed with a consciousness around the reality we're in. So where do you find any semblance of sanity in that?
Oh, group chats. Really and truly, putting myself on social media has connected me to so many amazing people. And, after vetting out, making sure like the person is real, you don't want to, be talking to an agent, exchanging numbers, getting in a group chat, especially even localized ones. There's one that I'm in, but we're, it's kind of local, but we all live so far away from each other, but we really do need to just find a way to physically meet each other. But, if you can't build that physical community, that online community really helps as well. And just staying in touch with people and, bouncing off ideas, and also just healing. I'm around a lot of healers. That helps as well. Spiritual healers, physical therapists that give us tips. And these are just things that you have to continuously do to stay in this, just taking care of yourself.
How do you take care of yourself?
Me going. Oh,
what are some
I'm a
tools,
dancer.
Some tips? You're a Cancer.
No, dancer.
Oh, I was like, my people.
So I'm in Aries, but cardinal signs.
Okay.
So dancing, stretching, yoga, breathing, exercises, meditation, music, really just music, like just going back to, more traditional music versus mainstream stuff that's out here. That's been so healing to me. Yeah. So
what is traditional music for you?
Oh, like things that my dad used to listen to. My dad, who's African, so like Fela Kuti.
And please accept my condolences for your father's passing.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a very sudden event, but that also allowed me to connect to him in very spiritual ways. So a lot of African music. If I mention some names, some people may not know, but Alpha Blondy, Salif Keita, like the sounds just really transport me elsewhere, and they also bring me back into reality. Like I just get that energy to keep going. So music, really, I don't know how many people can relate to that, but do something that honestly helps you ground, because you can't take yourself out of the fight. That's how they win.
You know, I love the concept of traditional music, but it being more so like traditional in the context of just you. Like, what is traditional music for Serene, right?
For other, honestly, I listen to everything else. I love Haitian music. I love Caribbean music. I go back to, Sam Cooke. I got him back there.
Yeah, I see him.
Nina Simone. It's just honestly just I go back to a time period more so than a specific culture. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Really a time period.
Yes.
And
we've just missed out on so much. Like, we now with this technology have access to so many things that I never like. I didn't know that Duke Ellington did like a whole African jazz album.
Yes, he did. My dad loves that. Oh my God.
I didn't know that like Max Roach and Abby Lincoln did like a whole like black spirituals. I don't even know how to describe it, but basically it's just cotton. I call it cotton jazz because it feels like it is from the depths. And there's like so much that comes out of that music that we don't get in this music now, just in the fact that it was recorded on real and like physical instruments.
Yes. And an album I highly, highly recommend for this time is Pieces of a Man, Jill Scott Heron. Amazing album from every single track. It kind of like takes you. It just takes you through all the emotions.
I'm giving you background music.
Yes.
Summer grandma sweeping.
I cannot sing.
With her old straw broom. She didn't know what she was doing. She could hardly understand. She was merely sweeping up pieces of a man. Listen.
The whole album, though, and listen to it in order.
Is Detroit on that album? We almost lost Detroit.
Is it? I don't remember all the tracks, but it's the way the album flows.
I'm gonna listen to Pieces of a Man today.
It's the way the album flows. It just takes you through all the emotions involved in like a revolution. It takes you from the anger to the despair, to the hope, to the joy, to the defiance, to the it's just, oh my God, it's beautiful. And also What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. Those two albums.
Tell me about growing up and how you became this person.
Oh, okay. I never know how to answer this whole where you're from question because the story sounds so unbelievable to most, but I was born in Jerusalem. My mother is Palestinian. My father is Liberian. Mm-hmm. And I grew up mostly in Ivory Coast and would, go to summer vacations in Palestine, aka occupied Palestine, aka the blue and white state.
Right.
So I would say that from a very, very early age, I was able to notice disparity, just from being able to live in quote unquote a third world country, stop in Europe for a layover, which is like, the crown of the Western world.
Yes.
And then go to like another quote unquote first world country, which is the blue and white state for, summer vacations. But then even within that, noticing the differences between my mother's village, the Arab villages versus the other. So I think I just grew up always asking questions. And my father, being the political person that he was always happy to oblige. And I really give so much credit to my father for the way that I was raised, because he really gave me that social political education from a very early age. I mean, that's like 80% of our conversations were just politics and news and history and culture. And he was a very, I would call him an internationalism. He made like he really taught me like, okay, it's not just about where you are and it's not just about where you go on vacation, and how it's about how all of this is connected, how America is involved, how Europe is involved, how Asia and China is involved. So I had that. I'm so fortunate to have that because, there were some things that he would impose on me that I'm like, okay, why do I need to know this? But now in hindsight, I'm like, I'm so grateful that I have that.
Can you remember any of those?
It'll just be like lessons. So I actually posted a video about this on Instagram. They took the audio off, but you can still find it on TikTok. So just giving me small examples, like, just take a pen. When you look at this pen, what do you see? And most people will be like, well, I'll see a pen, but it's like, okay, but what is the pen made of? There's plastic, there's rubber, there's metal. Where do these metals come from? And then he would literally walk me through the steps. Like, the resources would come from the global South, most of it from Africa, whether it's, especially the metals and resources, manufactured, produced in China, sold into, brought over to first world countries. And that's how they sell it back to us in Africa at like, the triple, no, not even triple, like way more costly than what it would cost if we were to manufacture it, right here at home. So just like instilling globalization, but in really minute examples like that. And then of course, as I grew older, like the conversations got more complex, but, just really making me understand the world around me, just using, objects, things that I enter.
Right now, because that is so brilliant.
He was a brilliant man. And today you see these conversations about, oh, the phones, where do the metals come from, right? And who's making them? And of course, the whole tariff war with China highlighted so much about how our goods are produced and the cost of production and how much we pay for them. So these are things I knew at like age 7, and it's like, and I come on here and I think that's why I think I'm, not to toot my own horn, but I'm good at helping people understand, the world around them a little bit more, because I'm able to make these connections from just the way that I grew up, just being that bridge between West Africa and the Middle East. And now I'm in America and, grew up on American media.
Yeah.
So that's really how I came to be. And then once I got here, it was like, oh, now I'm really getting to live the American experience with my own eyes and seeing what it's like, which honestly was a total scam. I regretted it instantly. Like, why am I here? I want to go back home. But
what's considered home? Côte d'Ivoire?
Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia as well. That's where my dad had decided to retire. And of course, Palestine. But that's not really an option for me right now.
Okay.
But I would love to, go back home. But yeah, right now, home is America, as we say.
America. Well, for what it's worth, we appreciate you being here, even though you don't want to be. I'm here, even though I don't want to be.
Why would you say that?
In America?
Oh, you mean, I thought you meant on the show. Okay.
No, America.
Wow, America. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting moving here because America is such an expert at marketing itself to the outside world as this, land of the free. Anybody can make it, just got to work hard, your opportunity, yada, yada, yada. It's great. And I remember like within my first month coming here.
How old were you when you came here?
17. I was 17 because I came here for college.
Where'd you go to school?
ACC, Texas. So I first went to Texas, took some classes in UT.
Your start in America was in Texas.
But it was Austin. It wasn't too bad.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, Austin was, it's like the liberal,
Be in Texas, be in Austin.
In Austin, yeah. And, I would take trips to Houston, which I also love, and San Antonio. But no, Austin was pretty ahead of his time, to be honest. We're talking like 2007. And one of the first things I noticed was like, okay, nothing seems to be the way they are. Like if something costs $5, it really costs 6.3 because it doesn't include taxes. Like where do they do that at? Like everywhere else, it's like, it's $5, it's $5. Cool. Over here, it's like, oh, it's not including the taxes. Right. And the second thing I noticed is, ish. The second thing I noticed was how horrendous the media is. And I would just watch the news like, how is this the news? Like, this is what American, like, why are we talking about celebrities? Where is the global, information? Because that's what I grew up on. Like every, 7 p.m. You sit in front of your TV, you hear about China, you hear about Europe, you hear about America, you hear about local things, you hear about the rest of Africa, you hear about the Middle East, obviously. And here it's just like, oh,
Justin Bieber.
When at the time it was Kim Kardashian.
Let me tell y'all, when I was on the Real, I had never watched an episode of The Real. I was on a talk show called The Real. And I had never watched an episode of it when I got on. Like, I had been on the show and I enjoyed it. So when they asked me to be on there for real, on The Real, for real, I was like, let's do it. But once I got on the show, like, I never actually watched any of our episodes until the pandemic. Oh. And we would record, and then I went in my mom's room to watch the episode, and we talked about Justin Bieber's mustache for 7 minutes. And I knew in that moment, I have to pray for an exit from this show. No, because the priorities are insane. It's very intentional. And those are things I noticed at 17. Like, okay, the media here, garbage. Like, I need to go back to my independent sources because I just don't understand. And then speaking to Americans, that was another reality check. Like, oh, you guys really don't even know where Iraq is, like, on the map. So, the education system, this is literally why we have a map. Because I know that a lot of us, we didn't get this.
And I always ask people, like, do you guys not take geography class in school? And they're like, we do, but we learned about the 50 states. I'm like, world geography?
Like, if I really think about my education, so much of it came from home. Like, I know about the globe because I had a parent from Grenada who had went to nursing school in London, and I was in Australia by the time I was 3. So I had a passport and I had existed in the world. But once I got to school, like, that wasn't reflected in anything. I just remember in school doing a project on Grenada and showing a picture of a breadfruit, and my teacher in Orlando, Florida, being angry with me. Not angry, but she was like, there's no such thing as a breadfruit. That's, you're thinking about fruitcake. And I was like, no. No, it's a fruit.
Actual biological fruit.
It's an actual fruit. It's on trees. And she really did not believe me. And my mom went to the West Indian store and, like, got a breadfruit and was like, bring this to school. This is a breadfruit. It's a breadfruit.
Yeah, it's
So then how have you managed to adjust, if at all? I mean, how old are you now?
I'm in my 30s, but who's counting?
Well, because you've been here a while. So
I've been here since 2000. So I came for college 2007, and then I went back to Palestine for a year, and then came back, moved to New York 2010, and then I've just lived here ever since. So that's 15 years plus the 2 that I did in Austin. I mean, you adjust, I'm very adaptable because, again, I grew up moving from place to place. So did high school in Palestine. That's where I graduated. So it was everywhere I go. It's just like, I'm good at absorbing the language. I'm good at absorbing accents, and I'm good at just assimilating, maybe even camouflaging sometimes. But also always remembering how I was taught and raised. And I think that's what keeps me grounded and not get too carried away with what's going on over here. But you adjust, and you get to meet amazing people. And I was honestly fortunate to be adopted by amazing communities here, especially in New York. I was with so many different conscious Black groups that really took me under their wing. So that's another aspect of, my political knowledge is the groups that I've been around since I came here.
Where did you go to school for?
Oh, I went to study civil engineering and architecture. Yeah. Look at your face.
I'm like, you building bridges?
That's what I wanted to do. Yes, literally. that's what I wanted to do. The goal was to become an engineer, go back to West Africa, develop. But then, yeah, I realized civil engineering here just meant you had to work for a firm and really, you don't really have the liberties that I thought I would have as a civil engineer. So then I moved into real estate, and now I'm in finance. But that's what I went to school for, yeah, engineering.
You're in finance?
Mm-hmm. I'm a financial educator.
How does that work with your politics?
It does, because I don't do stock market.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more so in teaching people how to protect their assets, how to protect their family, how to use like life insurance as your own personal bank, how to plan for college, how to retire tax-free.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things. Another thing I noticed about this country, there's really no financial education, and that's also on purpose. There's some tools that are only reserved for some people, some loopholes that only some people know about.
Mm-hmm.
And it really started with real estate, actually. So from engineering, construction, real estate, I was working for a firm in New York that specifically targeted Black and Latino families who are under foreclosure.
Okay.
And part of the gentrifying process of Brooklyn, and a lot of, so I got to see the mechanics,
just
and
predatory
practices. And one thing I noticed was how many people they would target who, the homeowner would pass away, didn't have life insurance, so the home would obviously fall into foreclosure. The family can't pay for that, and then they come in like, hey, we can buy your house, and so many people have lost their houses like that. And when somebody introduced me to finance, it just made sense to, okay, well, how about we teach people how to prevent these situations, so that you get to keep your property, you get to pass that down to your, your future generations, you get to transfer wealth to your future generations. So finance for me has become even part of my activism. It's not like, oh, I'm just in it to, put your money in the stock market and make money. I actually I'm not even, I never even took the license to do like the stock market thing, the Series 7. I don't want to do that. I'm not in it to risk your money or make my clients lose money. It's really about teaching you how to really play this game and hopefully win, because it's set up. It's so rigged. Like it's so rigged against,
this is
people
why
of
when
color.
People say that there's no such thing as systemic racism, I find that to be a gross example of their ineptitude.
Just Google redlining. Just Google that. Start there. One example.
So my last question for you is this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel your ancestors would say about where you are in where we are?
Where I am. I think my ancestors would be proud of where I am, because a lot of people in my position are not speaking up. And when I say my position, I'm speaking of, so people, this is a group of Palestinians that people kind of just gloss over. Usually when people think of Palestinians, they think of West Bank, Gaza, but there are those of us who are within the state of Israel. And those of us there, one, a big majority of us are also indoctrinated into that Israeli society. And two, either that or are extremely fearful of speaking up. And I was in the beginning, because I have family there. I didn't want them to start, to get targeted by the things that I put on social media. But I still took that risk, and taking that risk has, for example, one of the first people right after October 7th that even brought up AIPAC and the Israeli lobby. And right after that, I started seeing multiple content creators talking about AIPAC. And I was like, yay, good, because I don't want to do all the work. I want, you guys to take that off of me. And, just things, for example, the Israel not banning DNA tests, that came from me. People started doing content on that. So I think, obviously, there's so much more I can do, so much more, and it weighs heavy on my mind every single day. But I think for the fearlessness that I have exhibited so far, they'd be happy about that. Now, as far as other people, it's really painful, to be honest, because it feels like, Palestinians are like currently the sacrificial lambs, used to awaken the masses, and
Yes.
it's hurt. It's painful that it has to be that way. But at the same time, we know that we have this quote, "Maktub," it is written. These things are happening exactly the way they're supposed to happen, and I would hope that more people would wake up. But it is beautiful. It's been amazingly beautiful. That's what keeps me sane as well, is the amount of people that do show compassion and do empathize, and even if they are not able to take those steps because they're in their comfort zone, the empathy that the world has shown towards Palestine, towards even the Congo, Sudan, towards what's happening globally. Because I'll keep saying this, it's bigger than Palestine. It's not just about the people in Gaza. This has been the spearhead that opened up so many other issues. It's really, I call us the keepers, because we're the keepers of the truth. And that has now been open for other people to see what's happening around the world, not just Palestine. And I would want, first and foremost, for that change to happen mentally, for people to understand how connected everything is. And then from there, we can talk about action, because I think people are stuck on action because, one, the knowledge isn't there, the solidarity isn't fully there. So that's the first step. I think I truly feel like when I get these downloads, it's like, help people connect the dots, help people see how this is all connected, and how this can also boomerang back right here in America, where you think you're safe and comfortable, you're not. And from there, maybe like people can be mobilized to do something.
Well, I love this. I want you to go back and listen to your answer that you just gave.
Okay.
In response to the first question that I first asked. Because ultimately, we're calling for action to a base that still hasn't understood themselves as tools for their own freedom.
Americans don't understand that they are the most powerful citizens on the planet.
They do not, and that is by design.
Your dollars,
so I
voice.
feel your like frustration, but you literally just spoke to the answer to why you're frustrated, because people don't know. We're so behind, Serene, like so behind. So behind. And you knew at 17 we were behind.
Oh, girl. Imagine growing up for the last, 15, how old am I? I don't count anymore, but years of just being around people that you just know have absolutely no idea of what's going on. And you're just the only one like with all this knowledge. And, and I bring it up, and everyone who knows me knows I'm political. No matter what kind of conversation we have, it's gonna come up. I'm gonna find a way to relate the chocolate drink that you're drinking to the cocoa being
Where's
processed.
that chocolate drink from?
Yeah, like from Ivory Coast.
Because let me tell you,
slavery. Okay, so I'm that person. I'm gonna be that person that's gonna really burst your bubble every single time. But we just need so much more of that, But I do think, listen, I know we want to be like, oh, people are behind, but
no,
October 7 was hell. Like, to me, this is like, okay, people are waking up, and that gives me a lot of peace, because that's just, I can say it's just the beginning. And of course, we're being repressed, and we're being censored, and it's harder to reach people, but we have to find other avenues. And that's something, me and a couple of comrades are talking about. How do we take this from offline to, spreading QR codes, spreading flyers, actually.
I was literally going to say, I feel like you need to make some fanzines, what are they called?
Absolutely.
Some fanzines.
Fanzines, yeah. And just doing that, just because I'm honestly getting tired of the online space. I'm really right now not creating content, because I want to work more on things that I can tangibly print out and give to people, so that's that.
I can't wait till you do. I know it's going to be brilliant, just like you. And, so even though you're not making content, just in case you change your mind, folks, And let me say this too. Even if she isn't making anything new, it's worth going back and reviewing what has been made, because a lot of the information that you've shared is consistently present still, because we have not found the solution and we haven't been able to topple them. So make sure to go follow at no.funny.business, which this name now also means more now that I know what you do for a living. It has a double entendre.
It does. I didn't mean it that way, but it does. I would recommend you to go to my TikTok, because Instagram has deleted me twice since.
Got it.
So there's a lot of content that's not made it back on there, but is on TikTok. And can I also just shout out somebody before I head out? So there is a Caribbean person in Gaza. I don't think people are aware. Yeah, his name is Comrade Libre. He's Afro-Boricua, and he's been there before October 7th.
Okay.
He is still stuck there. And he reports every day. He gives us updates of what's going on. He's very close to the Seine as well. And I just feel like everybody needs to know that. Like, everybody needs to know about this man and go follow this man. His name is Comrade Libre on Instagram. And he also translates content in Spanish for the Spanish speakers. So
Afro Aboriginal 47.
That him. Mm-hmm.
It says followed by no.funny.business.
That's right.
All right. I'm following Comrade Libre, Afro Aboriginal 47. I don't know what I do this every day. Every day I try and show my phone, and every day I'm like, Amanda, they can't see it.
Yeah, the glow. So I figured you'd like that, because he's Caribbean, and he also gets involved. Yeah, he also gets involved with other Caribbean groups. So there's like the Trinidad and Tobago Action for Palestine, and Barbados and Jamaica. So there's solidarity coming from everywhere, which is beautiful. But I just really wanted to shout him out and, make sure people go follow him.
Well, thank you so much. We are going to go follow him, and we are going to continue to follow you. And when the fanzine hits the streets,
I'll make sure I create content on that. Don't worry about it.
Well, man, I want the actual fanzine. So, that's all I'm saying.
Email, mail, whatever you want.
Send it my way. Thank you so much, Serene.
You're most welcome.
I enjoyed laughing and learning with you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell your friends. Also, listen to the podcast. It's available everywhere pods are casted. Listen ad-free by subscribing to Patreon Amanda Seals. Come on and join the Seals Squad. Views from AmandaLand. Live 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Wednesday, with content on Thursday and Friday at YouTube Amanda Seals TV. Smart, funny, and